Well, ChatGPT is down again. That's something you're hearing more and more. Every time they have upgrades, every time they have added features, everybody jumps on at the same time. And what invariably happens is ChatGPT goes down. Now, if you're someone like me who's using ChatGPT on a regular basis, that affects my workday and I need a backup plan. So my backup plan is working with some of the other large language models that compete with ChatGPT. Now I'm going to show you a comparison feature list of these other large language models that I work with so that I can guarantee that I'm not affected by any one of these going down at any one time. When I'm done with the video, at the end of the video, I'm going to tell you which ones I use the most. So let's get started. Here's the generative AI features comparison list that I created. I'll have this in the show notes so you can make as many copies as you want. Now, the platforms we're going to look at besides ChatGPT are Copilot, Gemini, Claude, Perplexity, and Llama. Copilot is created by Microsoft and looks like this. And you'll notice, by the way, as we go through these, that all of them look very similar. All the LLMs look very similar where they have their prompt box and they work relatively similarly. Gemini is created by Google and there's the look. It almost looks identical to Copilot. Claude is made by a company called Anthropic and their prompt box is just up here. But once again, look very similar. Perplexity is made by Perplexity AI. And here's the prompt box in the middle. And Llama, Meta, Facebook, and the prompt box is down below here. All of them look very similar. And you'll find that as you use them, they work very similarly to ChatGPT. Now, the unique strengths that each one of them has, ChatGPT has versatility, it has conversational abilities, and typically it has the best results. This is the one, this is my go-to, but in this case, if ChatGPT is down, here's the unique strengths from all of the others. Copilot has great integration with Microsoft products, and in theory, as time goes on, it's going to get even better. And I'm looking forward to that because right now the integration isn't great, but in theory, when it integrates with all of the Microsoft products, Excel, Word, the email, PowerPoint, you name it, it's going to be incredible. It's just not there yet. Gemini, same thing. It integrates with Google services, including YouTube. And once again, in theory, this is going to be great. Right now, the integration isn't really there yet, but once it is, it should be a pretty darn good product. Anthropic, now what I like about Anthropic is that it has a more human tone to it. It doesn't sound as robotic, and it's definitely better suited for authors and writers. And when you want to create reports with a lot of writing in it or something like that, even if you're creating social media posts, things like that, it does a nice job at writing. Perplexity, now this is what I would expect from a search engine with generative AI capabilities. To be quite honest, I don't even go and search with Google anymore. I go to Perplexity first because this is the search engine with generative AI. And then finally, we have Meta's Llama, which is open source flexibility. The nice thing about that is that it allows the individuals and to create and build this platform. And so there's a lot more autonomy with that. Now, is there a free version with each one of these? Yes, there's a free version with all of them. And are there any limitations on the free versions? Yes, all of them have usage limits. So there's a certain amount of tokens, and basically you can think of tokens as words. There's a certain amount of words that you can use at any one given time. And once you hit that usage limit, it's just going to shut you off and tell you to come back in a few hours. So everyone has usage limits except for Llama. Llama has no usage limits. You can just keep using it and using it. Is the knowledge base current? So what I mean by that is that if you were to ask it about yesterday's news, would it know yesterday's news? The answer is, for all of them except for Claude, the answer is yes. Now with Claude, it has training data up to August 2023. So if you ask it about anything that has happened after August 2023, it won't know it. It'll tell you that it doesn't know it, but it won't know it. Are there advanced paid versions? Yes to all of them, but Llama, a little bit of a bonus. Since it's free, it's open source, there is no paid version. So you get everything with Llama for the same price, which is free. Are they able to cite sources? Now, all of them are able to cite sources, but Perplexity has been created to do it automatically. So Perplexity gets a check mark there. Can user data be deleted? If there's something that you want to delete, can you delete it? The answer is yes to all of them, except there is a retention period. So even if you've deleted it, they will hold on to it. The LLM provider will hold on to it for approximately 30 days before it's gone. So be mindful of that. Does it have access to a mobile app? All of them do, and I highly recommend that you get them as well. Number of languages. ChatGPT has the most. The rest of them have about 40, and Llama is capable of all languages, but that would be based on implementation. So 40 is pretty much going to be the number. Usually that's more than you need. Does the LLM have a closed loop system? And what I mean by that is there a option where if you don't want the LLM to train on your data because you're using highly confidential information, does the LLM have that option? Copilot, Gemini, Llama all have that option. Claude and Perplexity do not. Now, if you're getting the free version, none of them are closed loop. So be mindful if you're considering putting confidential information on there. I highly suggest you don't. But if you wanted to pay for a closed loop system, there are options there. Llama, of course, is free. Creativity. Which ones are more creative? Now, this is my opinion based on my usage, but I feel that Gemini, Claude, Llama, and of course, ChatGPT are all far more creative, and they tend to give me better answers, and it doesn't sound as robotic. Copilot and Perplexity are really not nearly as creative. They do sound a lot more robotic. And LLMs have image creation in their free version. We have Copilot, Gemini, and Llama all have image creation in the free version. Personally, I go to Llama. I like Llama better than Gemini and Copilot when it comes to this. And as far as the free version goes, ChatGPT, Claude, and Perplexity do not. Conversability. Now, what I mean by that is which of these, when I'm using it, do I feel like I'm really having a conversation with a human? The ones that I feel that way with the most, ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, and Llama. Once again, Perplexity and Copilot are not as good. Which ones have the ability to remember past questions? All of them have the ability to remember past questions. You'll see in the Copilot format that there's an area called notebook settings. That's where you would go to have a thread of questions so that it remembers your questions. API availability. All of them have API availability. And as far as accuracy of data ranking, the way I rank them, the data ranking, the reliability of the information, ChatGPT for me is number one. But again, if ChatGPT is down, I'm going to Claude and Perplexity. It's usually a combination of those two. So they both get blue check marks. Llama is usually next, Gemini and Copilot. That's So when ChatGPT is down, my go-to is I'm going to Claude and I'm going to Perplexity. Typically going to Claude because I like the human tone. I like the information that comes out of Claude. However, what I don't like about it is that it's only been trained up to August 2023. I like going to Perplexity because, once again, it cites everything. It does a really good job as a search engine. And I feel confident that the information that's coming out of there is reliable. There's some of the reasons why you can't go to Google Gemini right now. They're still working through this, but results they were getting were ridiculous. Like, here was an illustration of a 1943 German soldier. So this was during these are images that should show German soldiers during World War II. And look what it's creating. It doesn't even make sense. And even more recently, I went to Google Gemini with cheese not sticking to pizza, and Gemini gave the advice of adding about an 1/8 cup of non-toxic glue to the sauce to give it more tackiness. Obviously, they have work to be done. This is why I don't go to Gemini, but these LLMs are only as good as the data they train on. And in theory, Google Gemini should eventually be a very good one because it is trained on the largest data set in the world, and that's YouTube. So eventually, Google's going to figure it out. And I would assume Gemini will be the one that I'm going to, or at least one of the ones that I'm going to. But for now, it's Claude and Perplexity. So to summarize, when ChatGPT is down, or if you're using the free version and you've hit your usage limits, I go to Claude, I go to Perplexity, and then I go to Llama. You will have a copy of this generative AI features comparison list, and that'll give you links to all of these other LLMs. I highly suggest that you sign up for all of them and give them a try. And by doing so, if one goes down, you'll always have other options.